Until y'all need me, I'll be a guest analyst.
Well, no. See, you're a guest analyst, but since
wait. We just went live.
Outro sucks so bad. I figured I would do the outro and he do the intro. You know, so actually, I just wanted to say that because we was live. Just to throw some shade out there.
I feel
Midnight Assassin.
I feel a very toxic atmosphere right now.
This is behind the scenes cut. But bring us in.
Right. So we live right now. I'm gonna go ahead and bring this. I'm gonna go ahead and bring. Hold on. I'm gonna go ahead and bring the intro, and then you gonna do the introduction. Intro. You ready?
All right, go ahead.
Don't say it. You
go. Bring that intro.
MYECOMICS is the best. I guess you know why I'm on one.
Yeah, welcome, fellow knowledge seekers. We back again. I'm Midnight Assassin, bringing you your latest and greatest for your comics and knowledge. And we got Frankie J right here to the side. He's let me do this intro today. And we got Dave Wesley back. He's got a whole bunch of knowledge. We right here to share it to y'all. Y'all go ahead and come in the comments. I'm looking forward to an awesome show today. All right, let's get after it.
Yeah, man. Hey, thanks for having me on again. I love these guest spots y'all let me do because I love comic books, dude. And it's great. Like, I love the fact that y'all go live and not be finished with the background conversation. Like, I love it. I love it. It completely gives that feel of people are in the studio watching you record this, so they get to see you. It's great.
Oh, hey, I was gonna start in the bathroom because my stomach is gonna hurt, and I was just gonna have the phone up in the bathroom, like, hey, show must go on. The show must go on.
I'm gonna get real. We're keeping it real goes wrong.
Yeah. So just so y'all already know, we're not gonna do any commercials from the sponsor, and the reason why is because I ain't figured out how to darken that screen in the background yet. It would not do it. So with that being said, we'll add it in some videos in the future. So we're gonna jump right into it. We're gonna talk about the Dakotaverse, and if y'all don't know about the Dakotaverse, that's Milestone Comics. That was a black comic book universe, a black comic book company that was created. Was it the 70s or 80s? And I know they closed.
No, it was like the early 90s. Early in the 90s.
No.
Yeah, they started in the early 90s, closed in the late 90s.
Right.
Yeah.
They didn't merge with DC until 2008, but they started in 1993, and then they did their crossover in 1997, and then
no.
Go ahead.
No, they never merged with DC. DC just got their right. DC just got their stuff that was left over. Oh well, when y'all said look into, I mean, when y'all made the decision to say we're gonna talk about Dakotaverse, I went and started looking at it, and I was like, wow, I've never really looked into this universe, and how did I even miss it?
Because it wasn't one of the big three in the 90s. You know what I mean? Yeah. In the 90s, you had the big three. You had DC, you had Marvel, and then you had Image, right? Image was those darker stories, and I think that's why you saw DC and Marvel start taking on darker stories, is because Image started to pull some of their fan base with their storylines and original characters. So, but you also got to remember in the 90s, there was a lot of turmoil going on. So, I go
ahead and say it. You want to say it?
Yeah, go ahead.
So in the 90s, as I've said a couple of times on this show, black people weren't in the comic books, and so if a small comic book company came out, we didn't catch it because what we saw on TV or what was mainstream was what was being pushed. And that's what kind of angered me after I started looking at the milestones, man, they got some good storylines. But go ahead and finish.
But that's what it was. There was that turmoil. You had hip hop coming onto the scene really strong, gangster rap coming on the scene really strong. So the young people they were picking that to gravitate toward more so than comic books in years previous. So this group of of black gentlemen make this comic book company that specializes in black characters, and it completely goes unnoticed because, you know, well, that wasn't what young black men were into in the 90s. You know what I mean? That was that shake that ass phase. You know, that's Juvenile on that. So to this day, in any, I don't care where you go, to this day, any nightclub, anything, anywhere, right? It doesn't matter. The minute taking over for the 99 in the 2000 comes over to speakers, you will see grown women do things that they know their ligaments should not be doing to get on that dance floor. I promise you that. To this day. And that was the impact of the 90s. So that's what young men's mind was focused on. You know, so we missed this whole great universe go right past us, in my opinion. But I'll let somebody else.
Well, young man's minds is still on seeing them shake that ass and making money.
Look, did y'all see that? Did y'all see that new video Juvenile did? The Vax video?
Yeah.
The Vax video.
Vax that ass up?
Yeah.
Yeah, Vax that thing up.
Yeah. That was Juvenile?
Yeah, Juvenile actually did that. It was I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was a
we're gonna pull that and show it.
Yeah, I thought it was amazing. I really did. I thought it was great. But go ahead, Frank. What were you saying?
So with the Milestone Comics, because when y'all said Dakotaverse, you know, I was like, huh? And that was like, that's Milestone. So before I put anything up, like I said, I had to go do some research. And I was like, man, these guys gonna kill me on the knowledge piece because I really only know Icon and Rocket. I don't know the rest of them. And Static.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So y'all got this. I'm gonna chime in when I can.
Listen, I'll tell you, I used there was only really two heroes that I liked out of their onslaught. Now, don't get me wrong, the Dakotaverse had an array of characters that they could use, but to me, their standouts were, of course, Icon and Static. And you know, it's weird. Static's getting a reboot, and you know, I guess Michael B. Jordan's going to be doing it. So you know, the theater is going to be packed with ladies. But they were getting some you know, pushback because they openly said we are going to tackle the topics that are current today, right? And they were like, well, that's not what Static was about. But if you actually read the Static X comic book, right? Because that was his original name, was Static X. And at first, I still have it.
I remember that.
It's Static X, right? That's what came out, Static X, right? So, you know, DC shortened it, of course, for the, you know, for the universe or whatever like that. But the X was representative of his stance toward, you know what I'm saying, modern day life. You know what I'm saying? In the Dakotaverse, it was like a Malcolm X. He was Static X. You see what I'm saying? You know, so it was, and even his uniform carried the X symbol on it as well. So it was a very highly politicized comic book. It literally, you know, Virgil, you know, the hero Static, you know, was on his way to a gang fight because he was pressured into it. You know, that's what was going on in the 90s. You know what I mean? You know, gangs were getting really popular in the 90s. They were recruiting like crazy. You know what I mean? And then there was police brutality. And guess what? That's how Static got his powers, was through police brutality. They used this chemical that was supposed to attach itself to the people so they could find them later. Well, it killed a bunch and then mutated the rest. So it seems like brutality to me. You know what I mean? So what the hell you mad about? It's always been a political comic book. You was white and missed it. That's the best way I can put it. If you was white and you read it and you didn't see it, that was because you willfully missed it. But the minute I picked it up, I was like, oh, they talking about Rodney King and them. So, but it's a great read. And then Icon is a great take on, like, what if Superman was black? Like, you know what I'm saying? What if Superman had landed a little sooner? You know what I mean? And you know, but I think it's kind of messed up too, though, because Icon landed. The only reason he black is because that's the first person he saw. His ship sent out a scout, and the first thing that they came in contact with was a slave. And so it made him black. They came, got him. He grew up or whatever like that. This dude had fantastic powers. Did not help free slaves.
Exactly.
Right? He did not help free slaves whatsoever. This dude was just like, I'm going to just ride this out until y'all's technology catch up to my technology, and then I'm going to go home. It wasn't until he had impersonated his own grandson like 9 times that he finally got into the hero business. You know what I'm saying? And I think the series was going to answer the questions later on why he never interfered. You know what I'm saying? There was a couple snips and snipes like your time is your, Earth's time is Earth's time. They have to figure it out along their own, you know what I'm saying, or whatever long path without my interference. And then he realized that he couldn't interfere anymore when the 90s hit, apparently. Like slavery wasn't enough, but the 90s, that's too much. Crack was too much for him, I guess. And so that's when he stepped in. So but those are the two favorite characters that I have from the Dakotaverse.
Yeah. The reason why he never interfered because he was being written by a white writer. If it was written by Midnight Assassin here, he'd changed the whole outcome.
No, and there's black writers on that book.
Again, with influence from, because if you wrote a black man, a superhero, a superpowered black man stopping slavery across the world and oppression, In fact, that's one thing about the comic books in general that we don't get. With the superpowers they have, they always have this reason of why they can't do it. Every time. I'm going to switch over to the Matrix and then I'm going to come right back. Even in the Matrix, they said that we couldn't have a utopian society because our nature was savage. Remember that? And that's why they had to go back to the 90s. It's the same concept that's written from movie to movie to movie. Even with Captain Marvel, you know, another character, superpower, he had to go into the trench because America couldn't handle a superpowered black man, but they could handle.
Oh, you talking about Blue Marvel?
Yeah, Blue Marvel. My fault.
But now remember, Blue Marvel is written today with yesterday's hindsight.
Yeah, I know. With the same.
He wasn't an actual character that existed then. He is the conversation.
He did exist then. We just didn't know about him.
No, he did not exist. There is not a Blue Marvel actual comic book that existed when those guys existed.
It was top secret G14 classified.
Just like Century. Century existed, but nobody knew because they
continuity wise. Okay, you're talking continuity wise.
I get what you're saying.
You're talking. Yeah, but when you're thinking, I'm like, nah, bro. Like, I've been loving comic books my whole life. I ain't never seen a Blue Marvel comic book in my life.
No, you're right. But what I'm getting at is that across the comic book world is written to say this is why we can't intervene. Even with the gods dealing with humans, they can't intervene because of whatever reason.
That's why I like Deadpool so much, because like with time travel, they always like do something and mess up and they can't fix nothing because of the paradox. But when at the end of that movie, he fixed everything, wasn't no problems. I'm like, let's make movies like that.
Well, there was plenty of problems. He lost his wife in the next movie, so.
But look, that's for the good guy. The good guy can never.
The next movie. Hold on, real quick, Frankie. Let me just. He was on his way to living a great life with his wife until he went back in time and did all the dumb shit. And then the next movie, his wife died.
But the next movie is when he went back in time to save her. Was it
Deadpool 2 that he did that?
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's right. Deadpool 1, he comes out of the bathroom or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right.
Of course I'm right. I'm always right.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that, but
God. Y'all made me. Oh yeah. So the good guy can never intervene in anything human. But the bad guy can snap away half the universe, want to take over the world, want to change the way society is. I mean, for whatever reason, that's what they want to do.
Well,
I always bring it back to Watchmen.
Okay.
Like incorporated Dr. Manhattan in the Vietnam War, and then when it came to present day, like Vietnam was totally different. I'm like, if somebody were to really like be creative, they could do Icon like that and have it, like really affect the time. Like when he landed, he took over, the form of like what was out there in the field and stuff, and then he like had a major effect. Okay, what would that look like today?
So here's why I think it wasn't done with Icon. Okay, here's why I think it wasn't done is because, to the best of my knowledge, right, Milestone Comics wanted to tell real world stories with superpowered individuals, right?
That people would buy.
That people would buy. The thing is, if Icon changed slavery, he's no longer real world.
Yeah.
Static can't exist in a modern day America and exist in the same universe as Icon if he changed slavery, because the things that Static was fighting against that were common across the Dakotaverse were the same things that Icon was fighting against. You know what I mean? So in order to keep that cohesive thought process, you can't change the timeline.
I wonder if that's the reason why they never really like used Icon in like Young Justice. Like he made an appearance, and like
because every black person is going to ask that question: why didn't he change slavery?
Yeah,
if he was strong enough to do so, why didn't he do it?
He didn't do nothing.
Captain America too.
Right. Captain America is the worst. Captain America, for him it was Jim Crow. You know what I'm saying? Like Captain America is honestly the worst hero ever.
Right?
He genuinely is. He's the worst hero ever. This man, served with black people and all of this here stuff, was the shining symbol of America. You know what I'm saying? And never thought to say, hey, black people should be treated equally. And I'm strong enough to make y'all do it because it's that important to me.
The law's the law.
Right? Like, nah, like he was just like, shut up, niggas. Like, that's just how, like, for real, that was Captain America. And then all of a sudden you gonna make, and then once it's cool to be black in the 70s, you know what I'm saying? Because now y'all figure out we got rhythm and we like to hang out and we just good at people. So now you bring in his black buddy Falcon and now everything's supposed to be cool. And we just supposed to act like he wasn't a dude that was alive in 45 and did nothing about Jim Crow when he had powers. Nothing. We supposed to forget that. And Falcon Sam ain't gonna ask him no questions about that. Hey, well, what was you doing in 1944?
Hanging out with
before you got the serum. You know what I mean? Like, we just gonna ignore that. Like, come on, man. Like, you can't write that kind of stuff because when you write that kind of stuff, you can't change America's history in the comic book because you'd have to explain too much. You know what I'm saying?
You would have to, but I think it'd be creative. Like, I mean, would it sell? I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
no.
Especially back then. But
white people ain't buying that now.
Yeah.
White people didn't even start going to see the Black Panther movie until black people said, nah, it ain't about racism. For real. Let's just be honest about this.
No, listen, he is correct. There were some people in my office asking me about Black Panther. I was like, I'm not your resident black scholar. Go watch the movie.
Go see the movie.
Is he comic book or is he Black Panthers?
Yeah, is it black this type of Black Panther or that kind of like?
I remember I wore the shirt with him on it. It's like this older dude came up to me. He was just like, "Is that like? Are you a part of that group?" I'm like, "It's a comic book hero." He's like, "I remember that group from when I was younger."
Right. Wrong Black Panther, dude. Like. But it says Icon was a lawyer, so he definitely could have done something. Yes, he could have impacted it, right?
Yeah,
he could have. But then you have to create an entirely different universe. And now instead of telling real life stories, would you really create a universe to where a black dude ended slavery and black folks was still fucked up in America? Like, who writes that story? I
mean, because think about it. Like when Watchmen did it, like, you still had these other factions. So it's like now you get creative for like what would supremacy look like? What would these like little groups look like? Trying to bring it back. But would it sell? I don't know.
Hold on now, bro. Actually, Watchmen with Sister Night did not do it. That's still that was a conversation for today and them discovering. In fact,
no, I was focusing on like Manhattan and Vietnam.
And again, I'll say it again. The Manhattan storyline with Watchmen is the same as the Flag Smashers winning the war. It's the same as Thanos when he snapped his thing. It wasn't really concentrated on stopping racism and oppression.
Right. But it wasn't like I wasn't really focusing on black. I'm talking about how they took that story and they changed Vietnam altogether. Had nothing to do with black people, but what they did was like they created like, okay, if Vietnam was changed, there would be these like rebels that fought against like whatever government's in place. There'd be a different president. There'd be a different structure in place. Like all these chain of events would happen, and it would be in form a different present. But it like would it have to do with black people? Like not much, but it made this whole different world. If they did that with Icon, then they could like tell a totally different story. It'd be a totally different like, you know, I mean, you'd have to be smart about like how you actually like carried on. Go ahead.
So here's and this is why I honestly believe in the universe that they tried to create. He couldn't do it. They couldn't do it because you would be creating the universe as you wrote the story. Your audience wouldn't be able to connect. See, what's so great about Marvel and why Marvel does so well is Spider-Man operates out of New York City, right? Not Gotham, not Metropolis, New York, right? If you look, DC has just now started incorporating real cities into their mythos.
Really?
Yeah, they just now started doing it.
Huh.
Yeah, Flash, Central City. None of them
Central City. All this, it was never really in a real America.
Yeah.
So you could always understand why Marvel outperformed DC, because Marvel was writing from the perspective of the current world we live in, and DC was making their stories up as they went.
Yeah.
Right? It just so happened, like if Milestone came out right now, they were ahead of their time. If Milestone came out right now and dropped, they boom. Because this is the 90s was a time of black regression in my mind. We had just came out of the crack era. We were just on that tag in, so we were still in that slide, that low. And so the idea of really indulging into a black universe where black was beautiful and black was prideful and black, you know, a lot that wasn't resonating with African Americans. But now you can drop a movie like Black Panther, right, and have a bunch of black people in the seats to see what it's talking about and talk about what happens to a young man when he's abandoned by his culture in a foreign world, left alone around a bunch of violence. We can look at that now. So I think if Milestone had dropped 2012, they'd be the new Image comic books. They would be rivaling Marvel and DC right now, in my opinion. Right. That's just my opinion.
Right, and
because they write true real world stories.
Right, and I wanted to hit on Baxter's point again about the storylines that they could do, because if you really start thinking outside the box, right, let's use Lovecraft Country, one example. And a concept from Doctor Strange when he did a spell to get rid of all vampires. All right. If it's Lovecraft Country, remember that second season, because they started talking about black supremacy. What if they came out with a story where somebody did a spell to get all white people? Like that wouldn't sell on TV.
Right.
But we know some sisters and brothers that would enjoy that concept. Like, oh, this is a good one.
It's a great idea, you know. I mean, it works comedically. It just doesn't work when you're trying to tell a real life or a real world story and try to set it in a period or set it in a time frame. It's just like Marvel is doing. Marvel went back now and they no longer call the Vietnam War that, you know, Logan and them were a part of. They call it something else. I forget. It's like the Paigon War or something like that. Yeah, they just did a reset on that continuity. It's like the Paigon War or Paigon conflict or something like that. It's just like Vietnam, but it keeps them from it keeps it from aging the characters, right? So, you know, we know that, you know, 63, you know, was when the Vietnam was happening. So, okay, well, if Logan was 40 at 63, then how did he exist back? You know what I mean? So,
I thought they were keep the story like he was like 100-something years old anyway.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, they do keep it that way. They do keep it that way, but you know, they just don't want to lock themselves into a date.
Right. And
So
then
they should rewrite history, then develop other racially charged problems, historically speaking, if they really want to make a new cool icon, not happy storyline with historical undertones.
Yeah. But unfortunately, I mean, that's a great point, Pantheon, but you white people ain't gonna buy that. Sorry. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to sound like, you know, one of those what do you call them? You know, like a Black Panther or one of those, you know, black is best kind of things. But from a real sense, you know, white consumer dollars matter. Just like black consumer dollars matter and brown consumer dollars matter and all these dollars matter, right? If I put out a product that I know people are not going to enjoy, if I write the story that icon stops slavery and puts black people in a position of dominance and the roles are reversed and white people are the ones that are oppressed. Now, white people ain't buying it. Well, one, they can't connect to it, and two, it's going to seem so vastly reversed from the world that they live in that they won't find it real, and they just won't buy it.
John Travolta made a movie like that once.
That's already been. I mean, it's been proven in many medias. Look at Irv Gotti. Irv Gotti did a show where he reversed the black and white condition, and while it should have been one of the highest watch shows because it was actually really good, it was canceled after the first season.
Right. And to go back to Black Panther, and y'all can hate on me because I'm going to say it because I'm Venom today. With Black Panther,
that's a Carnage shirt, but we ain't going to say nothing.
What?
That's clearly a Carnage shirt. It's red with a symbiote.
I know. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. But in case they didn't.
Let me get my shirt up there, smart ass.
Yeah, it's clearly Carnage.
Hey, look, help me out with this, Mac. Black Panther, what a lot of people don't understand is with Black Panther, the reason why it was so big is because it had some key things in there that actually drew other audiences in. And don't forget, one of the key things is there was black on black crime. Even though that ain't real, there was black on black crime. It was two black people against each other, right? And then the other piece too, it was a black king. And that's what everybody thought that they just was going to get. And black people, we all think, well, not all of us, we all think, a lot of us think we're kings and queens. So that drew us into it. And to caveat on what Wesley said, not just white dollars, but there's some black dollars that if you tell a story like what we speaking of, they would not participate. They would not get on that train. They would not be even close to it. And I'm going to give some examples. The show They on Amazon. Right. It was so much controversy between that on social media between black people saying, well, why are they showing this and showing these stories, this and that? Because that's what happened. Now, you know, you got a ghost story by the ghost, a guy with PTSD in the army. His wife got raped by a white guy and she dealing with grief. Then you got the kids suffering from a white ghost. And then on top of that, they're experiencing racism on the daily. That's just a lot to deal with, you know?
Yeah.
So, and the other one was, I think it was Plague Wells Lovecraft Country.
Yeah.
And then when we ain't even getting the second season. Like, everybody was amped for that show. And then the last one I comment on is Watchmen on HBO. Nobody wanted to see a black Dr. Manhattan. They did. I seen that across the world, but you know, I was like, he gonna be black today. He gonna be black today.
That's what they just don't. Those kinds of stories just don't sell. Those kinds of stories just don't sell. And why, you know? And I think Pantheon Del Pantheon has a great point. He said that the phrase I was looking for was too militant. Yeah, but you can tell. Listen, Milestone told great stories without changing history. They did. They sold great. The problem was there wasn't enough black people to make it popular. And I know that that's going to sound bad or whatever like that, right? But when do you start seeing people rocking Gucci? How long has Gucci been around? And when did Gucci become fashionable? When rappers started saying that Gucci was the shit. When did Gucci become fashionable? When black people said Gucci was fashionable. It is the reason that stockbrokers and such will ward you away from different investments if it's heavily laden with black dollars. Because if we would decide that it's no longer cool and drop it, the rest of the world follows suit, right? So the thing is, you have to tell a story that people are going to want to grasp onto. You know, you just have to. You have to tell that story so that people grasp onto it. And Milestone did that. They just didn't have. They didn't have the audience at the time.
Marketing and distribution. Yeah. And one of the things that I kind of hate as I was going through trying to analyze the whole situation is, like, I'm gonna talk about Midnight Assassin because y'all know I enjoy talking about him. He is anime. Like
big brother picking up on little brother out here.
Right. But no. This is positive. He is an anime superstar. And I'm a TikToker also, and I see a lot of anime sisters and brothers on anime. And so for me, it's like that's what was being pushed for the people that didn't want to follow Marvel, DC, and Image. And then, like you just said, Milestone Comics was like Little Richard said in the James Brown movie, that they only got so much mileage, 100 miles of who would see their comics, and then that was it. They didn't get you. They didn't get nationwide. They didn't get, because there was no money behind it. And I believe if we go further enough into the history of Milestones, at some point, some way, they got kind of forced out of business because nobody wanted to deal with them. And I think I was about to do a video on that on black comic book companies, and then I pulled it, talking about some of the racial undertones that they got back then. And Milestone to me is one of the recent black comic books. I think what's the other one that's big right now? Midnight Assassin.
You got Valiant. You got Valiant Comics they're having a resurgence right now.
Right, and then it's one more with the guy who always was talking about Watchmen. It'll come to me in a little while.
You got Marvel, DC. You got Image.
Bloodline.
You got Bang Studios.
He's pretty big.
I don't know.
He come on TikTok. I'll find him before we get off. But yeah, so man, and I read
or Boom Studios, not Bang. Boom Studios.
Right. I read a little bit of Hartwell's history, and then of course I went on YouTube and watched a couple videos on him, and I was like, man, I'm gonna have to go ahead and find his Milestones and actually follow it, because I know they was doing a reboot at the beginning of 2020.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and grab a couple of those comic books and start reading it, because I was on what's that, Comixology?
And, yeah.
Right. So they have Milestone up there, but it ain't, you can't read it. You can't pull it down and read it just yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hold on.
It's because it's all like, DC just acquired the rights and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying, to their characters and everything. They did absorb them. I want to say it was 2008. You know what I'm saying? They had already started licensing their stuff earlier than that. They started licensing their stuff from Milestone when they started releasing Static. DC was actually keeping Milestone afloat by buying the licensor for Static. They were keeping them afloat. It just wasn't enough, you know what I mean? And so they ended up folding and stopped publishing. But I have a copy of Static issue 1 and Icon issue 1. To this day, it's a great comic book. It was very well written. Very well written. The Dakotaverse, I think, is a true look. A true look at America. If America was superpowered, a true look at what it would be like, because it doesn't just make black people great and white people bad. No, it gives black people with bad intentions powers as well, and it shows what they could do and how destructive they could be, but how the community rallies around the hero to help him in times of need and such like that is what ends up defeating a lot of these these villains. You know what I mean? So there's so much woven into the fabric of Milestone. It's just that they needed the right dollars and the right time. And right now, I believe is the right time.
Right.
And I think DC is probably going to have to rebuild their entertainment universe, their movie land around Static, because Static is going to be their highest grossing movie.
Well, let me hit you with something. I was actually I keep saying about to do a video. I ain't did nothing. But come to find out, if you had top 10 most famous superheroes, Static is in that top 10. Guess who's number 1?
I don't know.
Spider-Man.
Really?
Guess who's number 2?
I can see that.
Superman?
I can see that.
Number 3 is Superman.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That makes perfect sense.
And
the most Underoos have those 3 characters on them. The most Underoos sold have Spider-Man, Batman, and Superman on them. So if you're selling merchandise to little kids, normally you're going to get one of those 3 items. Yeah, they're probably going to be the most known.
And that answered my question of why the Marvel universe is trying to, and Marvel and Sony are fighting kind of over Spider-Man, is because he's the top superhero like across the world, and they want to try to put Marvel around Peter Parker. But
that's
I
dumb.
think a lot of
you've already built the MCU around Tony Stark and Captain America. Just keep it there. Now spin your web around the heroes that you have left, or bring in your secondary characters, such as your Wolverines, that could carry it the same way, that Spider-Man could, or anything. Bring in your Sentries. They might be powerful, but allude to them. Bring in your Adam Warlocks. Marvel has so many tools. I feel like they're trying to take the easy path to money. And I think the fans will sniff that out.
Bishop.
Well, let me give my quick speech then. My quick speech is, I've loved how Marvel has went from actually all the characters in the Avengers were secondary characters, but they took the secondary characters of the Avengers franchise, this Infinity War, and made those characters into top-notch characters. I mean, Falcon was a second. Now he's a first. WandaVision, she was a second. Now she's a first. Loki, he was a second, along with Sylvie.
He wasn't even up there. He was a bad guy.
Right. And now they are first, with people begging for seconds. And then the what if, I'm gonna say, I apologize to you, Midnight Assassin, from the bottom of my heart. And the reason being is, I did not see that they was attempting to do a Universal or a Galaxy Avengers. So everybody that we've seen in these previous what if, they're gonna have a Universal fight. And
let me see Captain Carter again.
So the last episode, where the Watcher was saying everything ends well. And then they had Infinity Vision, Ultron come out.
Ultron,
and then the Watcher's like, oh, like that, because he was even surprised that it had happened. I was like, oh snap! So of course I went and did some research, and they all started converging on the same thing. I'm like, man, I'm gonna have to go ahead and say Midnight Assassin. You get to see Captain Carter one more time.
I mean.
Ooh, I wonder if she could beat Captain Marvel though.
No. Come on, man. We're having a serious conversation
here. Ridiculously strong, bro.
What is it? Guardians of the Multiverse?
You can see that.
There's
Guardians of the Multiverse.
Listen,
How can you see that? How can you see that?
So check this out.
But see, that's how powerful the right marketing is. We are legitimately talking about the Dakotaverse, but all roads lead back to Marvel and DC.
Oh, he's looking on YouTube.
I'm just saying, that's how powerful the marketing dollars are. Is we're talking about Milestone. We're talking about a company that has a slew of black characters. We've only scratched the surface with Static and Icon, right? You got Rocket. Who was
Hardware? You got Blood Syndicate. You got Shadow Cabinet. You got Cobalt. You got
there you go.
Zombie.
There you go. They had a slew of characters, but somehow all roads still lead back to Marvel and DC. That's the power of marketing dollars.
Well, let's talk about marketing dollars again, which is something that was crazy to me going back to Marvel, because y'all know I'm gonna lead back to Marvel. There is something out there that I truly believe in. They're saying that Kang might not be the next big bad because
he shouldn't be.
Right. So again, they keep giving us big bads, and then they come up with another big bad. Like Kang, I think Kang is just going to be part of it now.
Yeah,
because you got I watched it.
You don't go from Thanos to Kang,
right?
You go from Thanos to Annihilus, and that's what you're about to get.
Oh my God, Annihilus!
I believe you're going to get Annihilus next
because he was
How else do you use Captain Marvel? How else do you use Captain Marvel in Phase 5? Who's she going to fight?
I'm trying to so Nihilus, his universe is the
negative zone.
The who?
Yeah, or the quantum verse. Yeah,
right.
The negative zone or the quantum verse. It's the same thing. So they've already explored that. They've already tapped it. They've gone into there way too many damn times. Hey, look, it ain't nothing for the cosmic rod to show up. We about to get the Eternals. They starting to delve into the big giant mugs. What's the
Celestials?
That created? Yeah, the Celestials. They dab it into them. It ain't nothing for the cosmic rod to show up at this point and let Annihilus loose. That's the only thing that can come after Thanos, man, is Annihilus, man. Either Annihilus or a proper Galactus.
It's like they're paving the way for Blue Marvel to come in soon.
No, bro, you got your hopes.
Nah, I was just saying that story gets crazy.
Was you the one drinking this time? I think you was drinking tonight.
Going into space. Oh, that story gets crazy.
Frank, you know what to do. Yeah, you know what time it is.
Look, that mother. Look, he gonna call after the show. Hey man, you take me off that show one more time.
You got one more time. You got one more time, man. I ain't finna sit here.
I know.
Oh no.
That
should be a linchpin of the show. Like, if you get a guest that could, like, we should find a way to open up the link so that people that are commenting in the comment section when you guys do the live broadcast, you can bring them on. And if they just say something so asinine out of the way, you just kick them off. Like, that's it. Like, you're going. But you got to prove your worth to stay on the show.
They're paving the way for Blue Marvel, and y'all doubted me, and y'all put me off. So when they do pave the way, and then they just start going into space, like at the end of his adventures and stuff, and then I'm gonna come back to this and be like, I told y'all. So just
we'll be 75 when that happens.
Feed me the hate. Give it to me. You go, yeah. I see you looking. I see you.
That's a good one, Dormammu and Mephisto. But let's not get too Marvel heavy. We're talking about Dakotaverse, black folks. Yeah.
Yes, please keep us on story.
I mean, and that's the problem is Marvel has so much to talk about. Dakota doesn't. Right? Dakota doesn't. Which I think speaks to the testament. It speaks to a problem in DC. If you've had these licenses since 2008, why do we still only know about Static and Icon?
Right.
If inclusion, representation was ever a part of what you wanted to do, you didn't even have to come up with nothing. You had it. And you did nothing with it. You know what I mean? So to me, I don't know. It's a little weird. Let me turn this light on real quick. Then it got dark outside.
So while he turned on the light, I think that I'm gonna do one of these 5-minute videos. I'm gonna go grab a couple of these comic books. I'm gonna read them and do some reviews on them. and then come back. Let me know in the comment section if y'all want to see some of that, because they got a couple.
I'm back already. I'm back already.
Because they got a couple of comics. Like I said, came out in 2021. Oh shoot, they got some digital. I need to find out the digital on that, so I ain't got to leave the house.
Yeah.
But yeah, Milestone Returns Infinite Edition.
Yeah,
it came out February 20. Yeah, did you read them? Did you catch any of them? Or you was like,
I didn't get to catch them when they came out. I didn't. I had a lot going on around there. I was getting ready to retire from the army, so I missed it. But you know, I'll get I'm sure my son's he'll catch it, because I passed down my love of comic books to my son. I think that's also something that that Milestone wasn't able to catch, is because they started in a generation where you already had your choice of comics, like whether you like DC, Image, Marvel, right? That love of comics wasn't passed down from that generation to the next. Yes, Nick. DC still owns the Dakotaverse, and the first thing that you will get to see from them is the Static movie. Yes, they did nothing with them except for small appearances in Young Justice. I think Static appeared in an episode of Justice League Unlimited in the last season, epilogue or whatever, epilogue, where Terry McGinnis finds out the truth or whatever about who he is. But outside, and then Static had his own TV show, but outside of that, they really didn't do much. Icon fought Superman twice. I think they made Icon lose both times, or first time was they fought to a standstill, and the second time, you could say that Superman won. But other than that, they really haven't used those characters at all. They've just had a backlog of black characters in an age where people would say feed me inclusion, and they just haven't done it. They've just created new black characters like Signal.
Right. And that goes back to what I've been saying 1,000 times. We don't need to change the color of any characters. We have enough black characters to carry. We have enough to carry our all black universe, and we ain't doing nothing with it. So if y'all out there watching, give us Milestone Comics a movie. Add them in.
Give us more than Static. Give us more than Static, DC. Like y'all have Icon, you have Rocket, you have so much that you guys give us something that we'll love and enjoy. You're gonna give us Static, cool. We loved the show. Don't know how well it's gonna work in live action because I seen Aquaman, and I watched a 4-hour movie called Justice League: The Snyder Cut, and
hey, you know what to do with him.
No.
Thank you. I hope he learned his lesson. He over here talking smack. He don't know the repercussions of his actions.
Oh.
He gonna come on talking that smack.
Oh, boy.
He better
hold on. You will not practice that blasphemy.
You better cut that out.
You better get your life straight, young man.
You gonna put some respect.
Yo, Snyder Cut was trash, and that's on my receding hairline. That's on everything, bro. It was trash. That's on the hairline. Snyder Cut was trash, man. I don't care what nobody said. I put that on my hairline.
He's still talking.
Justice League, Snyder's Cut was concrete like Ben Grimm. It was still hard like Colossus, baby. Don't you
man. No. Hey, it could have been. It almost was, but sort of like my hairline, it came up short, man.
Cut him off in mid-sentence.
Came up short, bro. It's not where it's supposed to be.
Look, he was getting it in there too. It's like, I watched this movie right here, and it all sucked. Now, but you know what? I can't disagree with you on Aquaman. It wasn't stellar. Aquaman to me was Captain
Marvel. Second Green Lantern.
Yeah, maybe a first Iron Man number 2.
He said it's Green Lantern.
Nah, bro. You can't put Green Lantern and Iron Man number 2 on the same level. Green Lantern is arguably the worst superhero movie that was made with modern technology. I'm not gonna include all of the other stuff from the 60s and all of that stuff. Let's say from 2000. From 2000 on, Green Lantern is hands down the worst movie ever created. Second was Aquaman.
Well, hold on now. I can't let that's your opinion on Aquaman. I'm putting them with Iron Man too. Now, Green Lantern, that movie did suck.
That was trash, number one.
I'm trying to think of another movie that actually sucked more than
I'm trying
Green
to think
Lantern.
one too. But
There
he said after 2000, so you can't bring up like Steel.
Yeah.
X-Men,
No.
that third one.
Nah, X-Men was good.
X-Men was way better.
Yeah, it was.
Bro.
The third one was.
We're
Jean Grey and Wolverine fighting through, and
we're talking about a movie where people's hair was floating, but their clothes stood still. Come on, bro.
Here go Midnight Assassin Jr.
Whatever. I'm just saying the hair was floating, but the clothes was staying still. The hair was floating, but the blood that should have been trickling out of your mouth and streaming into the ocean and then dissipating wasn't there. Like, come on, bro. Like, trash.
You know what? Now I'm gonna have to. Oh, hold on. Let's see. No, Nick Greer. I think Catwoman was. Excuse me.
Oh yeah, Catwoman was the worst.
Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, hold on.
Yeah. Nah.
That's not canon. Okay, that doesn't count.
That movie was garbage.
No, you can't call Catwoman trash because Halle Berry was in it. Plain and simple. That's blasphemy. I won't let it happen.
When you gonna cut him off again?
You can't. I'm sticking up for this. Halle Berry was in that.
Punisher movies.
The first one, I liked it though.
I thought the Punisher was all right. Like,
there was only two of the Punisher movies that sucked. The one with Dolph Lundgren and the one after the newer one. Like the Punisher Warzone. Like Punisher Warzone was trash, and the Dolph Lundgren Warzone, the Dolph Lundgren Punisher movie was trash. Why was he at the end of the movie with his ass cheeks out? I don't know.
But nothing was as bad as Catwoman.
Bro, I can't.
Shut up.
That's Halle Berry that you talking about, man. Like,
I mean, she was in a lot of good movies, but
that was one of them.
That wasn't one of them.
Yes, it was.
That one.
I love all the Halle Berry stuff. As terrible as she was in Storm, I still love it. It's Halle Berry. That's the queen, bro.
I mean, she was good at Storm, but Catwoman.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you.
You can tell me I'm right. That's what you.
Man Thing was bad. Well, I didn't watch it.
I mean,
I didn't watch it.
Elektra was also trash. Okay, listen, this wasn't a solicitation of what kind of trash. There was plenty of trash movies. I'm just saying Green Lantern and Aquaman are number 1 and 2. You can fight about the rest.
It was,
but those two are at the top.
Ask the question.
The only thing that was worse than Green Lantern was Aquaman, I think.
No, we just found we found 10 movies. We found 10 movies worse than Aquaman, right? I've been writing them down. Like, hey, thank y'all in the comment section. Like, hey, hold on now. It's the worst movies. They started naming them all.
All right. I'll give y'all that. There's some worse movies, but I mean, it was trash. You know what I mean? So,
I gotta agree with you. I gotta agree with you on Catwoman. It was my eye candy. I couldn't get Catwoman away.
Yeah, like I just had to take that one for the team. I watched it more than once. I watched Catwoman more than once. So, like, you know,
that one where they changed the characters, that was garbage.
Yeah. When they went from their transitions was trash.
What is Man Thing? I'm not familiar with that Man Thing.
It did have a movie. I forgot. It was trash too.
What is that?
Man Thing is Marvel's version of Swamp Thing.
Oh.
Yeah, it's garbage.
Oh yeah.
They just be copying each other, and that's also what I liked about Dakotaverse. No copies.
Yeah, because Marvel.
You know what I'm saying? No real copies.
Copy each other like crazy.
While Icon did come from an alien and this, that, and the third. You know, he didn't become Superman. You know, he wears a mask. You know what I mean? he doesn't have that moral compass that Superman has, that Boy Scout kind of mentality. He does have a little "I'll put them hands on you" in him, and you know what I'm saying, kind of thing. So there was no real stone cold copies,
Hey, I got something off topic real quick, Frank. So you remember when you showed me that cartoon, Omni-Man and Homelander? So you remember that part where he was like, he's like, oh, I want to see pictures of Spider-Man. You remember that part? I didn't know that J.K. Simmons did the voice of Omni-Man. So that makes it even more relevant. I just caught on.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I love the Invincibles. I love the Invincible that series they did. I loved it. I thought it was great. The comic book was really decent too.
I was catching up on some of the some of the storyline, because I just couldn't wait to find out what happens with Omni-Man when he leaves the planet. So I went through YouTube and I started catching up on some stuff, to see what happens next. And it's pretty dope. Weird. It gets pretty weird.
Yeah, it gets weird.
Yeah.
Shit gets weird around here. But yeah, man, if you haven't checked out the Dakotaverse, you kind of have to. You really do. You have to check it out, because
is that Monica?
Miss Rambo.
Yeah. It's 5 minute, Monica. In 5 minutes, we're gonna wrap it up.
Yeah. I picked up on the symbol because I looked at the time.
Huh?
I said I picked up on it was the wrap it up symbol.
I didn't. I was just over here just talking.
Well, you was the main one talking about it during the AAR.
Yeah.
Shucking and jiving. Yeah, I would say something in the
AAR. Man, we're going too long. And you the main one talking.
You did good today. That's what I want to say. You did good today.
Huh?
Well, thank you. You did well too. You and Dave. I'm proud to say I know you brothers. Outstanding.
Oh man. No, I mean, listen, I love it when you guys have me on here, man. I love talking about comic books. Comics saved my life coming up. So and I honestly think that it's I talk about it, on my own show, talk about it here. Comic books, page for page, word count for word count. You are introduced to way more words in a comic than you are in any novel, any school book, or any other type of text that you will pick up. In a comic book, you will encounter 100 new words every 25 pages. At a minimum, just reading a comic book. So if you're talking about, educating and things of that nature, and things that help bring Black people to prominence, and ways to fix America and get our kids interesting in reading again, give them something interesting to read that also challenges and grows their vocabulary, like a comic book. Put a comic book in English and let them break down the construction of a 4-part miniseries so that they can understand literary arts, so that they can understand what it means to truly be an artist and to break down the world you live in. Let them read the Dark Phoenix saga, right? Or let them read Jim Lee's run on the X-Men when they finally brought color to the X-Men in the way of Storm, Wolverine, Sunfire, and Colossus. That was strategic in doing so, because before that, it was white. Every X-Man was white. It wasn't until Jim Lee's run with Giant Size X-Men #1 that we got Storm, we got Wolverine. We got those people as X-Men, right? And that started to intrigue me. A Black woman that was queen in Africa, and now she's trying to save the world because she has power. You know what I mean? Those kinds of things. It's really trippy. So if you're watching, you got little Black children, go get them a comic book. If you know some Black kids that might be acting up, go get them a comic book. I'm done. Right. My bad. I went over my time.
Sit down.
No, I like that.
You got anything you want to add in there, Midnight Assassin?
No, I mean, shoot. I mean, everything he said about the reading, the stories, opening up, opening up those doors for kids and stuff, that's important. And I agree with that 100%. But yeah, you got it, man.
For real?
Yeah.
Oh, so in closing, I wanted to bring up the black comic book company I couldn't remember. It's Black Sands Entertainment. I could not remember them. There's another upcoming comic book company, but I kind of like Variant a little bit more because I don't know, I relate to the characters some more.
Valiant. My fault. You know, I don't know how to speak. Nick Greer.
We're gonna announce that. Well, actually, we can do it right now, real fast. So, cosplay from last week. We had Luke Cage, Monica Rambeau, Lieutenant Uhura from Star Trek. Did I say that correctly?
Uhura.
And then we had Mace Midnight Assassin.
Darth Windu.
Mace Midnight Assassin Windu, because they look like they could be brothers. And based on the two comments that I just got, Luke Cage is actually the winner.
I mean, he did actually get the comic book inspiration.
Right. So, with that being said, we got the winners. We didn't actually do any for the upcoming because we got some ideas that we're working on that we want to bring to the channel. All right. So once we hash that out, then we're going to bring the cosplay thing back in full circle and then go from there. But other than that, if you guys are good, you have anything else to say?
Rashawn just jumped in like we just started a little bit ago.
What's up, Rashawn?
He just caught the live like we just started. He's like, "What's good, everyone, bro? We've been talking for an hour. We've been to leave, Rashawn. We've been to relieve, man. But what's good?
Table.
So, with that being said, yo, Charles Hazleton III, bring that out, Charles.
That ain't good enough. No.
MYECOMICS is the best. I guess you know why I'm on one.
Now, see that right there is how it's supposed to be done. You know what I'm saying? You
see me hating at the end? I'm like, no, that ain't good enough. No.
Oh,